So today we have Renae Mahar joining us, and I'm so excited. She is one of the most hilarious people on Instagram, but also
Oh, sheesh.
most most talented too.
Not sure
Um,
my family would agree with either of those, but
oh, they're not here, so
yes, we can just create the narrative.
that's right. That's right. So, Renee does all kinds of awesome like DIY stuff and decorating, and she also runs Style Up Company with her daughter.
Yes.
So anyway, I'm really excited that you're here, and we'll
Thank
go
you for
ahead.
having me.
Yeah, we'll go ahead and jump in. So, one thing I wanted to ask first is how you learned how to do all of this stuff, like all the design stuff and the DIY stuff.
Well, I think the majority of that was born of poverty. So, when you're a single mom, and actually it went further than that. My dad was like a hardworking guy, blue collar, who was just saved every penny. So we always had to work, and he had rental houses, and we were always having to clean the houses or fix things if they needed to be fixed. So we were taught inadvertently and very unwantingly. I made that word up, but
Yeah.
uh, and then when I got older, I was a single mom, and it transcended that way, is that I wanted to have things that were nice. So I would go to the Goodwill and I would recover a sofa. And it was just really, really born of really necessity, necessity for my own desires, not obviously true necessity, but necessity of wanting to have those things, but not being able to afford them.
Yeah, that's awesome. Wow. Very cool. Well, let's jump in because I know we want to talk about Christmas today.
Yes.
And have you started decorating yet or not
I
yet?
have. And mine is like always, it's the big tacky Christmas. And so
I
I
love it.
when I was little, I used to just like revel at how they would decorate in the mall. So I someday wanted to have that, and I never really felt like I had time to do it, and obviously money was always an issue. So as my children got older, it became bigger and bigger, but really the catalyst was I had I had multiple ailments. I had cancer, and I grow masses in my trachea. Um sorry, on cue. Uh and I had gone in for a tracheal dilation. And during that procedure, they had inadvertently popped my lung.
Oh
And
my
then
gosh.
I woke up and was ended up on had been on a ventilator for several days. And I thought, oh my gosh, I've missed Christmas.
Oh no.
And it was because I had gone in on the 20th. I was trying to get it all under one copayment for the year. I was being cheap. And I thought, oh my gosh, I've missed Christmas. And I was paranoid about like who did the cookies, and were any of these traditions that we have, were any of these things done? We always make an ornament and we do a cookie contest. And fortunately, my mother and my sister had flown in and kind of done all of that with our children. However, that was the moment that I was like, Christmas will be gigantic. It'll be a big
Nice.
thing, not from a present standpoint, but from a we're going to do all of these crafts and we're going to do all of these different traditions. And it just grew and grew and grew to what it is now, which is just monstrous. It's
I
huge.
know. And if you guys haven't seen, like, you need to go check out her Instagram because it is like a winter wonderland. It's pretty amazing. And
Yeah, it just keeps getting tackier and tackier. And
I
it's
love
a
it.
way to force my children to come home and help me. So my adult children, I can't get up that ladder on my own anymore, which I totally can, but then they have to come home and help me. So it works out well.
Nice.
It's kind of been a double whammy.
Nice. And does it take a while to get all the bells and whistles up?
It does. It's taking a little bit longer this year because my supervisor, I refer to him as my supervisor, my grandson is here doing what he does, which is supervising. And yeah, his supervising is not a lot of help.
Yeah. Because he's how
So
many months old is he?
he's just over a year. I think he's like,
Oh,
I don't know.
okay.
I'm not a mom
Oh my
anymore. I'm just a
gosh.
grandma. He's just, he's past
Yeah.
one.
Well, he's little
So
though.
yes, he's still little and he's still kind of very much bossing me around, which I'm sure will
Yes,
happen for the rest of his life.
they do that. My children do
Yes,
that as well. I'm not
they
in
do.
charge anymore.
No.
So do you have a plan as far as decorating goes? Like, do you have like a vision every year or does it just kind of happen or
Well, here's the thing. I am a terrible Instagrammer for that reason. My Instagram really grew in a very organic way, and my
Mhm.
house has been featured in People Magazine and all of their, social medias, not in the actual magazine, but in all their social medias. Lots of news stations, probably hundreds and hundreds of accounts have shared because it is a great Christmas photo, like just,
Yeah.
and so I've continually gained followers kind of through this very organic process. And I'm not a good influencer in the sense that to really grow a following, you have to be very planned. You really need to plan it
Mhm.
out. You need to really plan what your content is going to be. You need to kind of time that out throughout the month. You need to be very consistent with that content. You're telling a story and you're constantly kind of giving somebody something that they want to learn from. And I'm not good at any of that. Mine is very sporadic, very spur of the moment. I'm better on stories.
Mhm.
Most of the people I find that follow me on Instagram really are following me for stories more than they are for pictures.
Mhm.
So they're kind of just participating in my daily activities that way, and it's not so much a planned content creation, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think that's part of why you're so fun to watch too, because you're very authentic. And I think I saw one of your photos where you're like outside your SUV with like your blog post outfit on or something
Yes,
like that,
yeah.
which was hysterical.
There's like all these, because there's all these like the typical blogger pose, right?
Right.
And I'm a 50-year-old mom of four,
Right.
like with a bunch of grandkids. Oh, sorry, with a bunch of grandkids. So I'm not the typical blogger, and I'll get people that'll say like, "Oh, you should do more about like what you wear." I'm like in my pajamas
I
90% of the time. Like,
know.
unless you're gonna buy what I call them day jammers, right?
Day jammers.
Unless you
That's
want to buy pajamas that can be worn in your home and also at Walmart, then I'm your girl.
yes.
But
Yeah.
am I the girl that, no. So I like to make those, I like to recreate those posts sometimes, like if
Yes.
I was doing it. There's another one where HGTV has like all of their girl power, girls that do renovation. And they
Mhm.
have this picture of them and they're all four like walking down the street with their tools and their hair is perfectly done and their makeup perfectly done. And then there's me who like, I'm posting like pictures, my hair's like standing straight up because that's what happens when you get mortar and grout in your
Yes.
hair.
No, this
Your
is
hair does not
true.
look like it. You don't look like that. Stop it. Or at least I
And
don't. I,
I
I I wouldn't possibly be able to put the effort in. Again, that would be a lot of planning. The girls that do it, that are able to do renovations and home stuff and have all their makeup and hair done. I mean, that's a lot. That's a lot of
it is a
work. And
lot.
I applaud them, but I just couldn't do it.
I
I just
know.
couldn't. I'm just
Yes.
I'm not built that way.
No.
Way too ADHD for that. That would
Yeah,
really take a lot.
right. So as far as like colors go, do you change things every year or do you have like set stuff that you use and reuse or how does that all work?
I would say the majority of the stuff I use is the same, and really, it's just an expense. I mean, to go out, well, there's kind of twofold. It's expensive and it's wasteful, right?
Mhm.
I get torn between the two. Like, could I go out and probably ask a bunch of companies to give me free stuff? I probably could and like alleviate the expense. but that seems so wasteful. Like we've
Yeah.
built this stuff over the last, 10 years, and all of the garlands we've made, all of I do change the ribbons, and oftentimes, because again, just from an expense point, I use fabric. So I'll put in a new fabric and I kind of loop the fabric in the way you would a ribbon. I have lots of, that's usually like the number one tutorial people want is how to get ribbon in a tree the way you want it.
Right.
Um, Fabric is a much cheaper way of doing that. So a lot of times I'll use fabric and then I don't feel so wasteful because I can reuse that fabric for other things. Um, but yeah, I kind of go back and forth on so I pretty much keep it the same. But yeah, those are kind of my two reasons for doing that is,
Yeah, it's a
you
lot
know,
to store too, you
it,
know?
it is. And it also like the garland, like making the garland, which because we have two staircases, the garland is, I don't know, well, it's several feet. I mean, it's
Several
a
feet.
lot of garland. And each of those garland pieces are made with 3 layered pieces. So there's like a base layer, then another layer, then a top with bulbs and crystals and
Ah,
all of that stuff. So just when we store that, I have to take that out. It takes a good full day to get the garland up and then kind of rework all of the garland and put new ribbon in and kind of rework it all. So, and
yeah,
always have lights go out.
yeah. Because that's
So,
what I was gonna ask. One of the things that I love most about, like, your Christmas stuff is that all looks so full and, like, even the tree and the garland and all that. So is that one of the ways that you do that, is kind of layering
yes,
multiple, so
yes.
is it like the garland that kinda looks like Christmas trees, like 3 of those put together, or different kinds, or
Well, actually, what I have is like a base layer, which is kind of like a fluffy garland, like
Mhm.
just green.
Yeah.
Then on top, there's another layer of really cheap garland that kind of ties all those together and gives me more wires, like more wiry pieces.
Right.
Then I have crystal garlands that are just like strands of plastic with crystals on them.
Mhm.
And those garlands then have all of the bulbs attached to those pieces. So those are laid on top of the other 2 pieces of garland, and those green wire pieces kind of allow me to tie them in naturally so they look full and more, cohesive.
Yeah, and so then on the trees, the thing you were, what were you calling it? Like the tutorial where you, like, kinda tie it and then, like, the ribbon?
Oh,
You
yeah, do
said,
the ribbon.
yeah. How do you do that?
So the with ribbon, and it is harder with if you have a live tree, it's a little bit more difficult. With a live tree, you take ribbon and you bunch it and you put wire around each little area that's going to be bunched. Then you attach that to the tree, then you do kind of like a rounded piece and then
Mhm.
put another piece of wire and then continue that. And that kind of gives that kind of ribbon candy effect.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So on a fake tree, you can just do that with the actual uh twigs, the pieces of pine or whatever it's supposed to be that's coming out. You can use that to wrap the ribbon. And I have tutorials on my Instagram and also on YouTube that show you how to do that. Um
Okay.
if you have a full tree already, another easy thing to do is to just, if you take wired ribbon and you cut it into strips, you can just curve each end in. So it
Oh.
looks like the ribbon is flowing through the tree, but it's not. It's just pieces of ribbon that you've put in
Uh-huh.
that direction.
Got it. So as long as you don't have, like, small children to pull it off.
Right. Right.
That's
Well,
pretty,
I mean, I always have small children around, and
yeah.
what I do is I just use on the bottom foot of the tree at the very least is all, plastic ornaments.
That's smart. That's
So
smart.
I don't even care if they pull them off.
Yeah,
you
that's
know?
what I had a friend a couple years ago who was like, "I think this is our last year of having a toddler tree," and it really was like, "Here's the tree," and like the bottom half is just like not
Nothing.
decorated.
Yeah. I don't know. I never did that because I just, it's funny. They usually, like, even my grandson right now, they just usually take one bulb and then they walk around with it for a while.
Yeah,
And if
yeah,
it's plastic, like, I
yeah,
don't,
who cares?
yeah, who cares?
That's funny.
I always grab a big one. So if you put one like that big, that's the one they'll go for.
Yeah,
So
totally. Keep them happy for a
yes,
while.
yes.
So a lot of the people that visit our website are, obviously looking at like kitchens and bathrooms and kind of renovations in that area. Do you decorate your kitchen and bathroom, or is it mostly just
No, I do. I do. I decorate my kitchen for free, or for free, for sure. And I guess it is for free because nobody's paying me. My husband's still cutting the check.
right?
I keep trying. I keep invoicing,
Right.
but nothing. So my kitchen, I think your kitchen is a great place because my kitchen, I have an island, and so I kind of do more on that island. However, even if you don't have an island and you just on your back counters, those are fun spots. The other things that I think is so cute that I've seen a lot of people do in small kitchens is just do like a small wreath on two of the main cabinets. And
Oh, yeah, that is
I
cute.
yeah, I like that because I think we spend so much time in our kitchens that it's a nice place to feel festive, especially if you're going to do cookies and you're going to do all of the other things. A lot of that's going to happen in that environment. So I think it's definitely a place that you don't want to forget, you know?
Yeah, absolutely, and it's funny how, like, all parties end up in the kitchen, when
Yes,
we used to have
exactly.
parties before
Yes.
before pre-pandemic, but
Yes.
yeah, that's a good we spend a lot of time in the kitchen, that's for sure.
For sure.
Are you doing anything new this year? I can't remember if it was last year or the year before, when I saw you like walking around the house and you had a remote for all your Christmas trees so you could like turn
Yes.
them on and off. I
That
just thought that was
those
the best
things
thing.
are like okay. So I use those all year long. Like at Christmas time, you'll see them like at Costco or Walmart, and you'll get like 3 plugs and one remote for like $14. You can
Yeah.
use this for all your lights. Like we use it for like lamps and stuff. I find that at Christmas times it's fabulous because the little kids always want to turn the lights on and off. And so they're able to do that. They're able to actually point at the tree and light up the whole entire space with one,
Yeah.
and they get really excited. So that's, but for me, it's great when you go to bed. You just dun dun
I
dun dun.
know.
But the one thing that I found too is that I have a lot of lamps, just like that I
Mm,
kind of like, I use them
yes.
more because there's remotes because I am that lazy to reach over and turn the light on.
Yeah.
So if you don't live in a house that's like, a lot of people now have all these smart homes where everything's their light bulbs are connected. That to me is a lot to have all that stuff on my phone. But to just pick up a remote, I'm fine with that. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm a
Yeah.
70s kid. I
And
can work remotes.
do you remember what it's called, like, for the people at home listening? Do you remember?
They'll be listed just like, Christmas remote or
Okay.
outlet remote control. I mean, they sell them
Yeah.
all year, but they always are more, there's just more options of them at Christmas time.
Yeah. Okay. That video
And
cracked
I
me up.
know Walmart
It's the
and
best thing
Costco.
ever. You
Yeah.
were like, "Watch this. Watch this."
It is, right? It's like, come on. And everybody, like I made my girlfriend Stacy buy one. And she was like, I don't need that. I don't need that. I can just walk over there and turn it off. And she had some trees some small trees she keeps on her counter. And then she has her big tree and then another small tree. We put all of them and she could turn them on and off all at once. She was like, okay, it's the best thing I've ever bought. I take it all back. It's the best.
Some things you don't know that you need until you have them,
Yeah.
and then, like, this is the best thing ever.
And it is one of those things that you don't necessarily want to spend money on, but once you do, you're like, "Oh, that was so worth it.
Totally.
I'm so glad I did it," you know?
Awesome. Well, to wrap things up, is there anything else that you can think of, like advice or tips for people who are maybe starting to think about decorating their own homes for Christmas?
I would say the one thing that you really want to consider is consider how you live and consider like who it brings joy to. Does it bring joy to yourself? Does it bring joy to your family? And then you decide how big you want to go or how much you want to do and make it an event that involves your family because the traditions past anything else or what you'll take with you. Those are the memories that you take, you know.
Mhm.
It's not the stuff, right?
Yeah,
It's just the traditions around the stuff.
yeah,
So that's what I would say is anytime you're thinking about decorating, think about how you live and how much joy it can bring you or who else it brings joy to, and then bring them
yeah,
into that process.
yeah. Awesome. Okay, great. Well, thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, thank
And where can
you.
everybody find you to stock your Christmas house?
Oh, well, I don't carry yet. I hopefully next year Style Up will carry more Christmas. Right now we just are furniture and home decor, but we're getting there. We're growing.
Nice. And what's
We
your
are growing.
handle on Instagram?
Mine is at Renae, which is
I-
it's my
Before
name.
this interview, I'm like, I'm gonna have a hard time not calling her Renee.
I know. Well, that came about because I have a good friend who used to call me Renae, and I can't even
Love
tell
it.
you who it's from. So
Awesome. Well, everybody go check her out and see all the Christmas fun. So
thank you so much for
thank you
having
so
me.
much.